Hello and welcome, friends, to this wonderful day where the interest rates have been raised by the Fed. Yesterday it has happened finally. And what's going on now? Is Bitcoin dumping? Is the dollar pumping to new highs? Is everything going crazy? Let's have a look at the market and find out what this interest rate hike means for Bitcoin and the crypto market. Let's look at the dollar. So what do we see? This is the weekly chart, and we see what? How can this be? Dumps? Look, the dollar is dumping. But wasn't it supposed to pump? I mean, the interest rates were hiked, the dollar should pump, right? Well, that is exactly what I said day before yesterday. Normally during the phase where interest rate hikes are announced, that is when the dollar pumps. And then when the rate hike actually starts, then it doesn't necessarily pump, but many times it actually dumps. The classical buy the rumor, sell the news. That's how this often works, you know? Buy the rumor, sell the news. And also, many expected the Fed to be even more hawkish. Hawkish means aggressively raising interest rates, but apparently the Fed is not as aggressive as many had expected or hoped. So therefore the dollar is dumping. It's not surprising because we on this channel kind of expected it, right? We expected it that something like this might actually happen. And if we actually overlay the dollar with Fed rate, Fed funds here, and we have to pin to new right scale, right? So we can just see what happened the last time. The Fed starts raising the interest rates, right? And you would expect the dollar to go crazy. Yes, it did pump, but then it just brutally dumped, and then it started pumping again, and only when the Fed rate was at 0 again did the dollar dump. But fascinatingly, it actually didn't dump below that level. So I don't even see a very big correlation with the interest rate. And quite funny enough, now the dollar is dumping the very day when the Fed announces that the interest rates are going to be hiked. That is quite hilarious. And it is something which we, friends, of course, expected because we are so smart, right? So anyway, now the dollar is dumping, and this is what is going to happen in my opinion. I was talking about it for a long time. I think that the dollar has reached the top because it has just pumped without any pause for a year, basically, like without any correction. And every time it has done this, like here, or here, when it has just pumped for a long time without any corrections, there was every time some phase where we had corrective structures where it started dumping. And now we are again at the upper Bollinger Band. So upper Bollinger Band here, every time when it went into the upper Bollinger Band, every time again, and here again, I think we are at strong resistance now, and I think it's going to go down over the next months. There's also bearish news with this petrodollar thing. China is thinking about buying oil from Saudi Arabia directly with Chinese yuan and not with dollar anymore. So this certainly also weakens the dollar. So you see, the raising of the Fed interest rate is not necessarily like an automatic guarantee for insane dollar pumps. And of course, we have this huge bearish divergence here in the dollar. It didn't even reach this peak, even though it went as high as the first peak here. Price-wise, we see that it didn't reach this peak in the RSI. So this is a really strong long-term bearish divergence. What does it mean for Bitcoin? Well, let's take a look at our Bitcoin chart. Bitcoin, let's go to logarithmic. Yes, Bitcoin is of course in this funny running flat structure that we mentioned a few times. The monthly chart is looking strong. It is looking strong. Do we see big divergences here? But why is Bitcoin not pumping now? Because the dollar is, we said, is dumping, right? the dollar is dumping and Bitcoin is not pumping. What the hell is going on? Let's yeah, like this is much better. So I said last times, I think we are going to still go a bit sideways. Last time this whole corrective structure lasted 63 days. And if we do the same again, then Bitcoin will hit maybe another low on the 26th of March. So we could actually make a fake dump, you know, to create some panic. Bitcoin just loves doing that. And then bounce, and then we just continue upwards. And then at some point we reach this trend line here, this upper resistance line. And then we look at our long-term chart. And then probably it will bounce off from this resistance line, and then the final pump. Something like this maybe. This is my current picture. Of course, you know, these are just probabilities. This is just what I think is likely to happen. But it's not necessarily the case. You know, we live in this probabilistic universe, so it doesn't necessarily have to happen like this. It can also look entirely different. But I'm still super bullish, and especially now that the dollar starts dumping, this is a very, very good sign. And we have this structure is very similar to this one. Like it's so fascinating how Bitcoin is doing these weird structures that just tend to repeat, you know. We see that here also we had really a strong divergence. Price was creeping lower. We had this low here then in July, whereas of course the RSI was making higher lows. And we have a very similar situation. Look at this. The RSI is super strongly rising, whereas the price is like, okay, almost going sideways. Like not really rising, but almost sideways. Whereas the RSI is really rising aggressively. This tells us like, okay, hidden bullish divergence, like Bitcoin really wants to pump. It's like, I want to pump, right? So Bitcoin looking bullish as always, looking super bullish. And in the weekly chart, we just go to the weekly chart. Let us go to the MACD. Okay, let us load the good old MACD indicator, because also that's a very important indicator. And what do we see? This indicator says that we have been in the red zone for a very long time. Okay, we have been in the red for a long time. The last time it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 weeks in red. Okay, this here we were 17 weeks in the red. And now we are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Look at that. So, wow. This is the whole structure I said looks very similar, and the MACD looks again very similar. So I think that in 1 to 2 weeks we will see the strong resumption of the uptrend, but we could of course make a fake dump just to make people afraid, you know, to squeeze some longs, to make some people panicky, to create a bit of panic in the market, to create a good entry point for the whales. And then I think we are going to pump. Or we could also pump directly from here. But knowing Bitcoin, it likes to do fake outs. So that is my current picture. I think the MACD will turn green soon in 1 to 2 weeks. And then we will resume the uptrend. And I still maintain the picture that we are going to see the all-time high by the end of the year or early 2023. And someone wanted me to take a look at the coin Ecomi. Omi. It says Omi. That's funny because Omi means grandmother in German. Okay, that was a bad one. I mean, we can take this here. Okay, we can say this here is the structure. And then we say, okay, 0.05 is the top for this cycle at least. Or we can also say maybe it makes a full extension and goes to 0.22. I mean, it could be, we don't know. This coin is just so new and it doesn't have a lot of data yet. That is the problem. But what we can see is that it has a really nice, quite strong divergence here, right? Look at this strong hidden bullish divergence. So yeah, it's looking good for this coin, although I cannot say too much because, as I said, it doesn't have enough data points, but this strong hidden bullish divergence is already not so bad. So my viewpoint is for today that we are going to pump, that the dollar index is going to dump further. It's just like it's going to dump, in my opinion. We are going down. How low can we go? I don't actually know, to be honest, but judging from these last dumps here, I think we will go at least to the lower Bollinger, okay? And the lower Bollinger band will be somewhere around here, right? So I expect some move like that one here. So it's looking actually kind of good for coins, even though the Fed started raising the interest rates. That is unexpected, right? The Nasdaq, it's looking also kind of nice. Why is it looking nice? Well, the middle Bollinger band held. The monthly is having actually kind of a bullish divergence. If we look at the low here, right? This last low, this is kind of a strong bullish, hidden bullish divergence in the Nasdaq. So this is also very much in line with our view that we get this one last pump here and then the next huge potential financial crisis could hit us. And when the time comes, I will also make videos about what exit strategy is the best. I mean, how do you exit this market? And also, like, if a financial crisis comes, then okay, what should we do? You know, like a 1929 style huge economic crash. What should we do then? In what assets do we go? Because Bitcoin, we said, is correlated to the stocks. So there's a high probability that Bitcoin will also dump. But what then? Where do we go to? That will be kind of interesting. And I think I will make a few videos about that because I'm thinking also about such scenarios. Because of course, I would also like to invest the gains from crypto into some assets that behave nicely in a huge world economic crisis. That will be interesting, and I will make videos about that. So stay tuned. Stay tuned and subscribe to this channel, please. If not, I will find out your address. If you don't subscribe and you watch this video now, I will come home to your address. I will find out where you live, and I will insult you. Okay? I will insult you personally. So you don't want that to happen. So therefore, please subscribe, because it's good for this young channel here. Because the YouTube algorithm is a complete unfriendly piece of software that doesn't promote this channel, even though it's a pure work of art that I'm doing here, and it's not being recognized by the evil YouTube algorithm. So that would motivate me to keep on making videos, you know. So then have a nice day and see you in the next video. Bye.